Welcome back to Scott's Wing Sports Today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back with my dad today, and we're here to do our college football predictions and our NFL predictions. So let's get into those right now. First game out will be number 6 Florida going on the road to Nashville to take on Vandy this weekend. Florida favored by 31.5. I'll take Vandy to cover the spread, but I think Florida gets the win on the road in Nashville against Vanderbilt.
I agree. This is Florida's best team probably in the last 7 or 8 seasons. They got their best offense. Their defense, though, is not that great. So I actually agree with Scott. I think Vandy's probably going to, score with inside 31 points, but I think Florida will get the win pretty easily.
Next up, it will be probably the biggest game in the history of UCF at home, as it'll be number 7 Cincinnati heading in to take on UCF. I want to go with my head here. I want to go with my heart, but I just can't. I'm going to go with Cincinnati to get the win tomorrow. I just don't see our defense playing well enough to get the win here. But if our defense shows up, I think we have a chance. I just don't think our defense is going to play well. I haven't seen this team play a full 60-minute game all season. So I'll take Cincinnati on the road to get a close win against UCF.
I'm going the other way. I think UCF has not played a team who was ranked higher than them, where UCF had to really get up for them. I think UCF is going to be completely fired up. I know they won't have a full home crowd. I think UCF will play their cleanest game all season. They will just simply outscore Cincinnati. Cincinnati will not be able to keep up with UCF's firepower, and UCF will win by a field goal.
I do like UCF to beat the spread, though, at 5.5. I do have them beating the spread, though. I think it'll be a close game. Next up, Indiana and Ohio State in the Horseshoe tomorrow. Indiana's 4-0, but unfortunately, I think the road stops here for Indiana. They have not beaten a team that I've been impressed with all season. I'm going to go with Ohio State at home to get a win over Indiana.
As much as I like to pick Indiana for our friend Kurt Esser, unfortunately, Ohio State is just too good, and they're at home. I think Ohio State gets the win.
Next up, number 4 Clemson with the returning Trevor Lawrence coming off the COVID list this week, as they head into Tallahassee to take on Florida State. Give me Clemson to get a big blowout win this week over Florida State. I don't see anything stopping Clemson this week. I'll take Clemson over Florida State.
I think Clemson's still angry about that Notre Dame loss. I think they're going to come back with a vengeance, and they're going to hang a lot of points on Florida State.
Next up, App State and Coastal Carolina should be a good game. I'm going to go Coastal Carolina, still undefeated. I'm going to get to 8-0 this weekend. Give me Coastal Carolina at home against App State.
This is one of the best stories in college football this year. App State is a storied program of the smaller schools, but I like Coastal Carolina as well. I think they win a close game.
Next up, North Alabama heading into Provo to take on BYU. BYU is hoping for some help from UCF this weekend to move up in the rankings. 47 degrees the temperature for tomorrow's game in Provo. I'll take BYU to get a home win over North Alabama on Saturday.
To be honest with you, I don't know how good BYU is because they really haven't played anybody, but they're certainly good enough to win this week. Give me BYU.
Next up, Wisconsin and Northwestern. A lot of people say the winner of this game is probably going to lose to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. There's always one upset every single week, and I think it's right here. Give me Northwestern to pull off the upset over Wisconsin.
I think the upset was the Cincinnati UCF game, so I'm going to stay with Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin demonstrated so far this season they're a very good team. I think they get the win.
Yeah, I'm just taking a risk.
Yeah, why not?
Worth it.
Why not?
Next up, UCLA and Oregon should be a good game. Oregon's quarterback is one of the best in the nation in completion rating, so I'll take Oregon to get a home win in Eugene against UCLA.
I agree. Chip Kelly's not turned that program around yet. Maybe he never will. I like Oregon in this one.
Another upset pick of the week potential, as we were just talking to my buddy Terry Jewell about 2 hours ago, and he said that this will be an upset, as it'll be Kentucky going into Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama. Alabama favored by 30 on tomorrow. That is disrespect. I will take Alabama to win, but I think it's going to be closer than 30. I'll take Alabama at home over Kentucky.
Because of Terry Jewell, because of his fandom, and his love for the Wildcats, I still got to take Alabama. Sorry, Terry. But I agree. I think they will cover the spread. This will be a much closer game than 30 points.
Next up, Kansas State and Iowa State should be a good game. 46 degrees this weekend in Ames. It's not a night game, so that doesn't matter. I'll take Brock Purdy and Iowa State to get the home win over K-State.
Iowa State's so tough to beat at home. I also agree Iowa State's going to beat Kansas State.
Next up, Tennessee and Auburn. Auburn's back into the top 25 with 2 losses. Higher ranked than UCF is, I understand, because they're in a bigger conference and they've had tougher competition to get to those 2 losses. I'll take Auburn at home to get it done against Tennessee.
Tennessee's improved this year, but I don't think they've got enough to beat Auburn on the road. Give me Auburn.
Next up, Mississippi State and Georgia. My buddy Uncle Luce told me that it will be the transfer from USC starting this week for Georgia. I'm going to go with Georgia to get the home win in Athens. I think they're still upset after that blowout loss that they had 2 weeks ago against Florida. I will take Georgia to bounce back and get a win here against Mississippi State.
I agree. I think Georgia's pretty upset after the Florida loss. Mississippi State's been all over the place. They beat LSU, then they look terrible. I think Georgia's going to get the win.
Next up, Liberty and NC State. Another upset for me this week. I'm going to take Liberty to pull off the road upset over NC State. NC State favored by 4.5. People need to start respecting Liberty. I'll take the Flames to pull off the road upset over NC State.
I can't go with Scott on this one. I got to go with NC State. I think Liberty is a little bit overrated because of their schedule. NC State, I believe, beat North Carolina earlier in the season.
Yep.
Give me the Wolfpack.
Next up, USC and Utah. Utah's going to be a much different team than what we saw last year. They lost Zach Moss to the NFL, now playing with Buffalo. So I'll take USC to get it done on the road in Salt Lake City against Utah.
I agree. Utah's taking a step back this year. I'm going to take USC as well.
Next up, College Game Day will be there tomorrow morning, as there'll be Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in Norman. These teams are tough to predict, but I'm going to take Oklahoma State on the road in Norman to get it done on the road against Oklahoma.
I'm not, I was really sold on Oklahoma State early in the season, but they've been playing steadily worse. I'm going to take Oklahoma in this one. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game, but I think the Sooners are going to get the win.
Now into the NFL games for the weekend. A pretty good game last night, 28-21 Seattle over Arizona. Pretty interesting game to watch. I was too busy watching the college football game last night instead of watching that. So let's get into the picks for the weekend. First one out, Philly and Cleveland. Tough pick for me here. I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield and the Browns to get the home win over Carson Wentz and the Eagles. The Eagles lost to a very bad Giants team last week, even though I still think the Giants are the best team in that division, but that's not saying much.
Yeah.
I'll take the Browns to get it done against the Eagles.
The Browns seem to have the easiest schedule this year. I mean, they're playing nobody, and their record reflects it. Give me the Browns to beat the Eagles.
Next up, Atlanta and New Orleans. Taysom Hill is your starter this week. Kind of surprised to see that he hasn't had to start since he was in college. I think this is my first upset of the week. Give me Matt Ryan and the Falcons to go into New Orleans and pull off the upset over Taysom Hill and the Saints.
I think Taysom Hill's going to surprise some people. I think that there's a reason why he's starting over Jameis. I think that he is a very mobile quarterback, very athletic, throws it well. I think New Orleans is going to win.
Yep. Well, Kamara might not even play, so that's why I'm also thinking about that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we'll see. I think he'll play, but we'll see. Next up, Joe Burrow and the Bengals heading into Washington to take on the Washington football team. I am going to go with Joe Burrow and the Bengals, even though Joe Mixon's out again. I think that's 3 weeks in a row he'll be without his star running back in Joe Mixon. So I'll go with the Bengals to win a close one on the road against Washington.
It's a tough game to pick, but I think because Washington's at home, I'm going to give them a slight edge in this game, but I would not be surprised to see Cincinnati win.
Next up, the Lions and the Panthers. No Christian McCaffrey this week. No Teddy Bridgewater this week. Equals no win for Carolina. I'm going to go with Matt Stafford and the Lions to get back to 500 before they play the Texans on Thanksgiving, so I'll take the Lions on the road against the Panthers.
I agree. The Panthers are just missing too much. I think the Lions are not very good, but the Panthers are worse. So give me the Lions.
Next up, Steelers and Jags in Jacksonville. I'm going to take the Steelers, but be careful because the Jags, I think, have beaten them 3 times in a row when they came to Jacksonville. But I will take Pittsburgh to get a close win in Jacksonville against the Jags.
I would absolutely pick the upset here, except for my friend Terry Jewell. He is actually going to the game, so I think him being in the crowd is going to make a big difference. I think the Steelers win a close one.
Next up, 2 teams looking to get back on track after losses last week. As they'll be the Tennessee Titans and the Baltimore Ravens. I was not impressed with what the Ravens did last week. I'm going to take the Ravens to get back on track, though, this week. Give me Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to get back on track and get a home win against the Titans.
The question is, are the Ravens going to bounce back, or are they on a steady decline? I'm taking the steady decline. I think the Titans are going to go in and beat them, and it's going to be a close game, but I like the Titans.
Next up, New England and Houston. Give me Cam Newton and the Patriots to get a road win in Houston against the Texans.
I am not sold on the Patriots at all this year. I don't think the Texans are that good either, but I think the Texans win a close one at home.
Next up, Tua, who is currently 3-0 right now in his NFL career, as they head into Denver to take on the Broncos. I'm going to go with Tua and the Dolphins to keep pressure on Buffalo. Give me the Dolphins to get a road win in Denver against the Broncos.
Me too. I agree. I think the Dolphins are going to win as well. That was an embarrassing joke. The Dolphins are going to win as well and win in Denver.
Next up, the Jets and the Chargers. I'm streaming the Charger defense this week. Hopefully they don't screw me. I'm going to take the Charger defense. I'm going to take the Chargers at home over the Jets.
I mean, anyone against the Jets, pretty much almost a guaranteed win. So give me the Chargers.
Next up, the Packers and the Colts at 4:25 on Fox this week. Should be a great game. I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to get a road win in Indy against the Colts.
I think Indy is one of the more underrated teams that people are not talking about a lot. They got a very good defense. I think Indy gets the win here.
Next up, Dallas and Minnesota. 2 teams going in the opposite directions here. I'm going to take Dalvin Cook to have another monster game this week. Give me the Vikings to make it 4 wins in a row and get a win on Sunday against the Cowboys.
Just like Scott said, you got 2 teams in opposite directions. Minnesota's trending up, Dallas is trending down. Give me the Vikings.
Next up, the Kansas City Chiefs heading into Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs to get revenge after what happened earlier on in the season when they lost by, I believe, 8 points to them. I will take the Chiefs on the road over the Raiders.
I agree. I think the Chiefs want revenge. They were very surprised by losing to Las Vegas the first time they played. Give me the Chiefs in this one.
Next up, the Rams and the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. This is going to be much better than Monday Night Raw this week. I will take as much as I'm optimistic right now. I'm going to take Tom Brady and the Bucs to get a close win on Monday night against the Rams. I think Tom Brady knows what he needs to do this week. We need to stay in that 5 seed so we can get a virtual bye week in the first round of the playoffs, playing the winner of the NFC East. So I'll take the Bucs at home to get it done against the Rams.
I think this is going to be a really close game. The Rams are a very, very good team. They made Russell Wilson look terrible last week. With that said, I do believe that the Bucs will win in a close one.
And now an extra pick. Tomorrow, Orlando City has their first ever MLS home playoff game. Absolutely unbelievable what Oscar Pereja has done in his first season here in Orlando. We finally have a coach here in Orlando. Score prediction for the game, I'm going to go 2-1 Orlando. I think Nani will score both goals. So give me 2-1 Orlando and move on to the next round of the MLS playoffs.
I'm going 1-0 Orlando.
Okay. And that will do it for this week's episode of Scott's Week in Sports. I'll be back next week with some more predictions. I'll probably be posting a little bit earlier on in the week next week because of Thanksgiving. So I will be posting probably on Wednesday because of my dad's off all week next week. I'll probably be posting on either Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on how we feel. And I will just see you guys right back here next week on Scott's Week in Sports. See you later, guys.
See you guys.